So basically, Bill Cosby, some pretty shocking news. He was released from prison, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they actually vacated his entire conviction. He was serving a 3 to 10 year sentence for, I believe, sexual assault, and he's accused of rape by like 60 women. It's got to be some kind of massive record. But he's definitely a rapist, but he got free because of a sort of technicality or potential prosecutorial misconduct. And so basically, in a razor thin 4-3 margin, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court basically came to the conclusion that the evidence that was used against Bill Cosby, the crux of it to land his conviction, was actually illegally obtained. And so their logic that they're using is something called detrimental reliance. Now, it's a legal term where essentially there's a promise given by the prosecution, and the prosecution can't just recant on it and then not follow through with it. But the idea was basically that there was an agreement between Castor and Cosby that he would not go for criminal charges against him related to this case if he were to openly talk in a deposition for a civil case related to the same matter. But the problem with that is there's not really any evidence that this agreement even existed, and detrimental reliance has to do with the specific promise, not just like speculation, but an actual promise that, hey, and the court admitted, by the way, there was no quid pro quo. There was no statement or written statement that said, I will not prosecute you if you do this, if you speak in this, civil case regarding the same matter. And so the evidence that was gained was from that testimony. I think it was the Quaaludes comment that was the biggest deal. And they got that in that civil suit deposition. And so ergo, it would be illegal because the prosecutor did not follow his promise. But the thing is, there's not really much evidence this existed. It seems like the only evidence that this ever existed was a 2015 email, which is way later. This is back in like '04. But like a 2015 email from Castor, and apparently he was running for some office, so it was beneficial to him for his message to be the case that this is what happened. But there really doesn't seem to be much evidence that this happened. So even on the, obviously he's a rapist, right? That's pretty obvious. But even on the technicality grounds that they actually dismissed this case, or vacated the charges, not dismissed the case, but vacated the charges against him, it doesn't really make sense because there doesn't appear to really have been true detrimental reliance, in that there simply was never a clear-cut promise made. There's not even evidence of like an informal one either, and if it was informal, I don't know why you wouldn't have it in writing. That's something you would obviously want to get in writing if you're Cosby. There's the narrative going around of, this is horrible, this is totally detrimental to women. Obviously it is. And then there's the counterpoint, which is essentially that, yes, this is true, but the legal system failed, blamed the prosecutorial misconduct, and that they failed to really follow their promise. And so, if a prosecutor does give a promise like that, yeah, you do have to have it so that they stick to that. Otherwise, those kinds of legal things are so important, right? Protections and these civil liberties and such are very important, and having a fair legal system. But the problem is, even the prosecutorial misconduct, was it really prosecutorial misconduct? Because was there ever truly detrimental reliance if we don't have any evidence of a promise, an exchange of like, hey, I'll promise I won't pursue criminal charges against you if you speak in a civil case? There simply doesn't seem to be that. So I think that they seem to have gotten this wrong. And again, it's not like this was a 6-0 decision. It was 4-3. So it was super, super close. The trial court, the lower court, did not agree with them. It was actually the opposite decision. So I think the Supreme Court just got it wrong. But this definitely is a big deal, and apparently there is some slim chance of Bill Cosby getting in trouble for other cases potentially. This one seems to be pretty shut close, and even some of the legal opinions I'm reading is that, the chance of him even getting in trouble for really anything at this point is actually kind of low, which is very unfortunate. But definitely very unfortunate situation. I think the Supreme Court got it wrong. But Bill Cosby is certainly a rapist, and so that makes it really sad that justice has not been served to these women who are victims of sexual assault at the hands of Bill Cosby.